And we're back with Forum Daily's Energy Update. We're joined by Dan McTeague, president of Canadians for Affordable Energy. Take it away, Dan.
Well, thank you, Nathaniel. What a week again. This is truly becoming a very exciting opportunity for me to talk about where gas prices have been and where they're going to go, because there's no week that has not been unique from the other week. And in the past 4 or 5 days, what we've seen is markets go into complete panic mode, drop their positions dramatically, as four factors have been driving, even though they're quite irrelevant but driving energy futures. That, of course, is the U.S. Fed and interest rates. We saw, of course, panic over the banking crisis with First Republic, PacWest, take your pick, a handful of regional banks in the United States, and concern over their viability as well as liquidity. We've also seen more interest being placed on the rates of good news, economic inflation in the United States, labor numbers, but perhaps the one that doesn't get a lot of attention, but will, I'm sure, over the next week, and that is, of course, the U.S. debt ceiling. So it sounds like we're into a very different time in which gas prices, energy prices are not being influenced by anything more than external factors, which have, frankly, very little to do with the price of gasoline. And so we've seen prices on average across Canada back off by about 9 cents a litre. That's this time last week versus now. A lot of people could not have predicted that. And it comes at a time in which we do see traditionally prices ramping up. Refineries have now introduced their summer blends of gasoline. Demand starts to move. In 2 weeks, we have the Memorial Day long weekend kick off to the U.S. Driving season. Same time for the May 2-4 weekend in Canada. So all of these things point to much higher demand. And on the supply side, well, we continue to see OPEC and other nations lagging behind and having made good on their commitment to cut back production. Fundamentals, as we've said here before, simply don't count. They don't rate. And as a result, we're seeing an unexpected gift at the pumps, but it's going to bounce back. And that bounce back is actually starting today. I see that oil's up about $3 a barrel, back over $71 a barrel, up from 68 at one point on Thursday morning, very early on. WTI traded at 63, 64 a barrel. So either someone has some very fat fingers or someone is using algorithms, whatever the case may be. It went from 63 all the way back up to 68, where it stayed most of yesterday. And of course, this morning heading up $3 a barrel. I think we're going to see recovery next week. But again, it just depends on the mood of the markets. And of course, here in Canada, we're price takers. We've seen some weakness in the Canadian dollar. That's one of the reasons we didn't get a 10 or 11 cent decrease. And it also explains why probably next week we're looking at an average of 4 to 5 cent increase, pushing us back above the $1.50 range. So places like Vancouver can expect to move back to about $1.82 from $1.77. Victoria moving up to about $1.83 from $1.80. If we look at the rest of BC, in the $1.60 range to $1.65 range, look for them to remain where they are. Retail margins are extraordinarily generous. Same for Alberta, where the prices should have dropped into the $1.25 to $1.30 range, but are staying very sticky in the $1.35, $1.38 range. Retailers are waiting, obviously, for more signals to prove that retail margins and their wholesale rack prices have dropped. Same for Saskatchewan and Manitoba, where being a gas station out there is pretty profitable. Your retail margins are about 20, 25 cents a litre. Normally, they're about 10. Ontario, we're looking at a continuation of prices moving back up from, say, $1.47.9, $1.48.9, all the way back up to about $1.54. So about a 5 cent increase. Ditto for Montreal, which will see prices move up towards the $1.68, $1.67 range. For the Maritimes, no big movement, although I think perhaps by Tuesday, if we see a dramatic increase on energy markets, say on Monday or Tuesday, combined with today, those big decreases they got in their regulated systems, where they actually decrease it by a penny and then drop it by 8, as we saw in Newfoundland's case, we might see a reversal of those fortunes. Best advice, Saturday is the best day to fuel up anywhere in Canada. Starting Sunday, we're going to start to see that price coming back. And of course, with it, perhaps a resumption of what we've always seen traditionally, and that's much higher prices as we head and storm towards the May 2-4 weekend. For now, take advantage of this because it's too good to be true. And by the way, Gas prices are about 60 cents a liter cheaper than they were this time last year when they were in the $2 range. That's it for this week, Nathaniel. We'll be talking to you next week.
Well, thank you for that, Dan. Again, that was Dan McTeague, president of Canadians for Affordable Energy.